Okay, so here's what we're going to do for this one. Now that a is not 1, I mean, you can still kind of try to guess it, and you'd say, well, it's got to be 2y and y. That multiplies to y squared, but then what do we get here? Is it 3 and 5, or is it 5 and 3, or is it 1 and 15, or 15 and 1? You can try them all out, but here's what we are going to do. We're going to take a, the leading coefficient. Oops, I don't want an x, I want a dot. And then c, the constant term. Multiply those two together. And it turns out what we're looking for is a pair of numbers that multiply to that. So I'm going to write down all the pairs that do. It's not a very long list. Okay. The pair of numbers that multiply to that and add up to that. Going out on a limb, I'm going to assume it's that pair right there. Okay. So what I'm going to do is rewrite this guy here and say, all right, using those numbers I circled up. So 2y squared, and now I'm going to replace the middle term using these guys. So plus 2y plus 15y, because the 2 and 15 are both positive. And then that last term. Okay. Now I've got 4 terms. I do factoring by grouping. And because we chose a pair of numbers that multiply to 30, add up to 17, they're going to work. Okay, they're going to do exactly what we want. So out of the first binomial, I can pull out a 2y. That leaves y plus 1. And out of the second one, I can pull out a 15, which leaves a y plus 1. They both have the y plus 1, so I can factor that out. And I'm left with 2y plus 15, and that's the factored form. And of course, you could go y1 in your calculator, y2 using x's, go to the table and verify that they match up. Okay, we're going to need to do a little bit more of that. Okay, so once again, it's a trinomial, it's quadratic, highest power of the variable is 2, and the leading coefficient is not 1, it's 7. So I'll do the a times c, and then I'll write down the pairs of factors that give me 28. It's not a lot, and that's it. Okay, now they're not supposed to multiply to 28. It's supposed to multiply to negative 28. So in each pair of numbers, one has to be positive, one has to be negative. Now, whichever pair we pick is supposed to add up to positive 12. So if they're going to multiply to a negative and have opposite signs, but add up to a positive, that means that the bigger number has to be positive. That's the only thing that makes sense, which means the smaller number is negative. Notice each pair adds up to a positive number, and here's the pair that adds up to 12. So once again, I'm going to rewrite the whole thing, changing the middle term, the 12z. So it'll be 7z squared. Let's see, minus 2z plus 14z. What else we got? Oh yeah, okay, I know where I'm at. And then minus 4. I know that this seems kind of big and overwhelming at first, but this process does get very repetitive. And as you practice it a little bit, and then it's like, okay, this isn't nearly as big of a deal as I thought. All right, factoring by grouping. So we'll pull out a z, a z. We're left with 7z minus 2. And then I'll pull out a 2 out of there, because that's all I can. And I'll get 7z minus 2, which is super cool. So the stuff in the parentheses matches. So I can pull a 7z minus 2 out of both. And I'm left with z plus 2. And we got it. Now, yeah, so this is how you do the factoring for a quadratic polynomial. And when we were doing that shortcut before, when the leading coefficient was 1. This will work for that. If you prefer this method, which I doubt, but maybe you do, this will work every time. Okay, once again, we always check to see if there is a GCF, and in this case, there is not. Rats, I thought there was. Okay, but there's that extra y squared there, so we're just going to temporarily pretend that it's not there. Okay, just like we did before. And now we'll continue. So we'll do A, the leading coefficient, A is 3, times C, the constant term. And then we'll find pairs of factors that give us 48. You know what? How about I just do this cool thing, and then it'll be easier. So 1 and 48, 2 and 24, 3 and 16, 4 and 12. No, 5 doesn't go in. 6 and 8. Right. So we've got all of that wonderful stuff. Now, let's see. So each pair is supposed to multiply to negative 48, so they need to be oppositely signed, but they need to add up to a positive, or I guess I should really be circling this one, to a positive number, so the big number is positive. So all the small numbers are negative, and the pair that adds up to 8 is right there. So now I can go like this, 3x squared plus, and now I rewrite the 8x as, this time I'm going to do it, I'm going to swap the order. I'm going to go 12x minus 4x. Okay. Because it doesn't matter. I mean, it still adds up to 8. And then minus 16. All right. So then I do my factoring by grouping. And all right, out of the first binomial, I can pull a 3x. Sweet. I'm left with x plus 4. And this middle sign is minus, so I'm going to factor out a negative something. Turns out negative 4. And I'm left with x plus 4. Now I can factor out an x plus 4. And let's see, and I'm left with 3x minus 4. Okay. And so, but we have to make sure we don't forget that y from the beginning. So we'll just slap that in at the end, and now we're done. All right, on this one, the only significant difference is the leading coefficient is negative, and most people, it just kind of rubs them the wrong way. So all we're going to do is factor a negative 1 out of everything. Keep doing an x instead of a u. Factor a negative 1 out of everything. And then, we've got that. Now, this binomial inside the parentheses, we just treat it like we've been doing everything else. So I'll go 3 times 10 is 30. So 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 5 and 6. They need to multiply to a positive 30, so they need to be the same sign. And add up to a positive 11, so that same sign needs to be positive. I mean, if they're both negative, they wouldn't add up to a positive 11. All right, and so the pair that adds up to 11 is right there. So then we'll do, let's see, 3u squared plus, what else? 5u plus 6u plus 10. Okay, and then we parenthesize. Okay, I'm sure that's a real word. It does sound very Olivia Newton-John. And we'll factor out what we can. And the stuff left over in the parentheses should match up if we've done everything correctly. So now I can pull out a 3u plus 5. And I'm left with a u plus 2. And then I have to say, whoa, 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 I can't forget that minus sign. And then right there. But you're going to, plug that into your calculator. That goes into y1, this goes into y2, and if they don't match, something's going on. And it might just be that you didn't type it correctly. Okie dokie. So, as always, hey, is there a GCF? There sure is. I can pull out a 2 and 5 y's. And that leaves me 3y squared plus 11y plus 10. Huh. Seems like we've done that recently. Okay. Yeah, I seem to remember having done that in the recent past. And we did 3 y plus 5 and 3 and y plus 2. Okay, and the 2y to the 5th just follows along. And that's it. No big whoop. I think I smell donuts.